Our next performance is the Mazurka by Chopin. Ruth Merrick.
Ruth Myrick. It's Mazurka in B flat opus 7 number 1 from Chopin, whom I already mentioned, and I said unless Chopin has done excessive work on mazurkas, this type of music will probably not be known in Europe and the rest of the world. Now, Miss Myrick is another of Slavic friends. I'm pretty sure some of you know her. Now, the thing that you may not know, that one of her most favorite composers is the Russian composer Rachmaninoff. So you see, Slavic composers can touch hearts of other people who are not Slavs. And to perform for us that beautiful mazurka in B flat, would you please help us welcome Miss Ruth Myrick?
Before I play, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the mazurka. It's a Polish folk dance, a group dance actually, usually done either by a group of 4 couples or 8 couples. And this particular rendition of the mazurka, written by Chopin, was not really intended to be danced to. It was really written for the aristocratic audiences of Paris. But nevertheless, you can hear the characteristics of the mazurka dance, which I'll tell you a little bit about. As you listen, you'll probably notice it sounds a little bit like a waltz in that you'll hear the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 beat. But it's a little bit sort of a tipsy waltz in that there's always emphasis, instead of the dip coming on the first beat, it comes on the second beat. So it sounds like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so you'll hear accents always on the second beat of the bar. Another characteristic is that it was often, the steps were often improvised by the dancers. And there's one section that just keeps coming back, and that sounds like the stylized, the place where the steps are designated. But then there's some sections in between where it sounds like maybe the dancers were making it up as they went. So Chopin's Mazurka in B flat, he wrote lots of these, but this is one of the more well-known ones, B flat opus 9. And I think the piano's behind there. There we go.
That was a beautiful thing, wasn't it? Mazurka.
Our
What would-
next is, go ahead,
Tatra.
which will also be performed by the AU Slavic dancers.
Yes, it's a very vigorous dance. There is not much shouting in that one because it's a very gracious one. We Slavs could be gracious sometimes. No comments? Okay. But that doesn't mean that you are not invited to support our dancers. We would like you to be a lively audience. We didn't have it in the past years, maybe because I didn't mention, but I would like you really to participate and give your heart into Slavic evening, because if there's anything we Slavs do have, it's very much open heart. Isn't that true, Eileen?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so Tatra, very vigorous couple dance from the high mountainous region around Poland. It's a region, Transcarpathian region, that you probably heard about from our Ukrainian project. So you'll be able to see what people dance in that part of the world. That dance has a wonderful spirit as well, and it can actually express you the spirit of both Slovaks and Poles, who are two Slavic nations.
So please help us welcome the AU dancers and the accompaniment, the Elmer Band with Tatra.
Thank you very much for that vigorous support. Our dancers do appreciate it. You know, in the past they would see only darkness and there was nothing in there, so they were scared of almost what is out there. But now they know that they have lovely friends who support them, and we're very glad that you came out here. And for those who didn't, well, they'll have to regret it later on.
So what is the first thing you think of when I say Czechoslovakia?
Czechoslovakia, I think of Prague, the Czech capital. For those of you who have never been in Prague, they call it the Golden City, and that's not in vain, because Prague is really a beautiful city with those wonderful golden ornaments that you can find in Russia. It has not only lovely architecture, but has wonderful canals throughout the city. And in fact, many Americans, after the fall of the communism in 1989, many Americans moved to Prague to do business and various other things because they found it a very inspiring city, and the Czech people is very pleasant and hospitable. So, that was Poland. Now here is Prague. This is one motif from the city of Prague. You can see people walking in one of the Prague streets, on which now the streets are full of many foreigners and Americans who do all kinds of business and other things, you know, out there. And this is another of the lovely Czech cities. I think this is Brno, in which you can also see the churches. Czechs are, by the way, Catholics. Half of the Slavs are Orthodox, and the other half are closer to the Roman Catholic world became Catholic. So you can see the Catholic churches over there. This is another example of the Gothic architectural style. Since the Slavs were somewhere between East and West, always, they just pretty much adopted both ways of life. So they basically adopted both Gothic and any other European style. And you can also find, especially in Russian architecture, all kinds of motifs from the Asian style.
Our next piece is by the Linguistic Class Choir.
And it is called, would you dare to pronounce it?
I don't dare to pronounce it. You can do that.
Okay.
I'll give you the honor.
Červeni šatečku, which means, well, this is blue one, but it's like a scarf. They're going to have scarves. It's red scarf. And it's actually one of those, love songs in which he's actually a little bit jealous because he sees her dancing around with a crowd. And boy, he sees that there's another young man out there and she's dancing with him, so, that kind of jealousy.
Many Slavs tend to be more jealous than other people. If you know any of us, you can tell, a little more jealous than usual.
Any personal example in your life?
Maybe next time, next year.
All right, I will not elaborate on that one. So, he sees her and he sees at the end, oh my goodness, I hope she's not going to hug him at the end, because, jealousy is dangerous things. Our Latin American friends know about it because they're also very jealous people. Are you Latin American friends? Yes, you are. So, Červeni šatečku, or the
Linguistic Class Choir, accompanied by the Elmer Band.
So please help us welcome Linguistic Choir. Crazy Slavs, huh? Would you tell? You know me, so would you tell we're crazy Slavs?
Just a bit, maybe.
Okay.
So our next performance is Moravian Handkerchief Dance.
Now, Moravian Handkerchief Dance is also one of very beautiful Slavic dances. And as you will see, the girls and guys, they're kind of holding scarf. That's what it's called, handkerchief dance. And I won't tell you what, I'll just tell you there are waltz steps in that dance. And then you'll see how beautiful those Slavic colors will, pop in and out. And I think that's about enough. I want to keep them like in some, mystery or ignorance, so we don't have to tell them everything about the dance.
All right, so please help us welcome the AU Slavic dancers, accompanied by the Elmer Band.
What do you say? Are you happy for coming tonight? Okay. In that case, we didn't lie to you when we told you that Dr. Mas said actually to his colleagues that there are 5 spiritual principles: fasting, prayer, meditation. What was the 4th one? Reading of the Bible. And the 5th one is Slavic evening. So 5 pillars of faith, don't forget, for Slavic evening 1996. Okay. This is necessary ingredient for well, maybe not.
So, what is the first thing that comes to mind when I say Serbian or Croatian?
Homeland. The first thing about Croatia, beautiful coast. There is no nicer coast in the world, and I say this with full responsibility, but the Croatian. Croatia has all those wonderful archipelags. In fact, our parents are from a beautiful island.
They're from Sisak, actually. It's about 1.5 miles to 2 miles in circumference. It's beautiful. It has best seaports. It's beautiful.
It is.
Here's a slide.
Here's one slide from Croatia, indeed. Now, Serbia doesn't have these kinds of things, since you asked me what I think of Serbia and Croatia. It doesn't have these kinds of marines and these kinds of ports, but Serbia has mountains, and ski sport is very well developed in Serbia, so if you want either one, go to Serbia or Croatia. Okay? And on the second one, this is?
Korčula.
Korčula. It's one of the Croatian islands. Croatia has many, many, many islands all throughout the Adriatic Sea. And Korčula is actually well known because Marco Polo, many think he was Italian, but guess what? He was Croatian, indeed. He was born in this very Croatian island, and he grew up there. Later on, he sailed off and sailed away and sailed as far as Japan. So that was Korčula. And this is?
This is actually in Split. These are two ladies talking. This is what they usually wear there. This
Yes.
is everyday life costumes.
These are old ladies in Split. I went to Split. That was the last Croatian city I've seen when I visited last time Croatia. Split is actually famous for having Diocletian Palace. Diocletian was one of those Roman emperors. Not the best one, but, you know, one of those. And he loved it so much that he built his palace right there in Split. So if you go to Split, you can see it.
Here's another scene of Split.
You may not see it right there in the darkness, but you can see the ruins. I mean, right there in the Split, there are ruins of the Diocletian Palace. In fact, there is a whole marketplace that they built right there among the ruins. So if you ever go to Split, please visit the marketplace, the Diocletian Palace. And if you ever think about beautiful maritime holiday, think about Croatia. If you
It's
want
beautiful there.
If you want winter, go to Serbia. What else can we say about our people?
Well,
How about your Croatian mother? We're talking about mothers. We love our mothers very much.
she cooks very well. I love her food.
Oh,
I miss
yeah.
it so much.
Like, for example, anything that
Um,
comes to your mind?
Loži, frete. These are just pastries they made. And basically
Basically,
good
that's
food.
the best. Yeah. So much for us Serbs and Croats. How about the Ukraine?
Well, what do you think of when you think of the Ukraine?
When I think of the Ukraine, the first that comes to my mind is the transportation we have. And refreshing. You just breathe in and you feel like you're almost, rejuvenated again. And I also think of another thing that will be a theme in one of our songs. And the thing is actually the river Dnieper or whatever you want to pronounce. It's the largest Ukrainian river. It is so peaceful, so calm, so beautiful. But
Our next piece is by Mr. David Belowis. It's Ode to Ukraine. He's also having a recital next week, which I'm sure many of you would like to come and enjoy.
Mr. David Bilovis is also of the Slavic blood. In fact, he and his wife like Slavic music very much. And for each one of his performances, Mr. Bilovis makes sure that at least one Slavic piece is in there. So any of those recitals and things, you can always count on one Slavic piece. To reveal something about Mr. Bilovis, his most favorite Slavic tune is Slavonic Dance No. 8 from Dvorak. So that's, I think, enough to introduce him.
So please help us welcome him.
Good evening. I had the wonderful opportunity to visit the land of my roots, Ukraine. I visited my great-grandparents' home. I was there with my family, and it was a truly marvelous and overwhelming experience to visit it. This was during the time it was under communist control. And I visited beautiful forests. I visited beautiful rivers like the Dnieper River. I visited the capital, Kiev, and I was so overwhelmed by my whole experience and moved and inspired by it that when I was walking through the park in Kiev, overlooking the beautiful Dnieper River, which is a winding river, very European setting, this melody started popping into my mind, and I was so moved that I began to work on writing a song, and I call it Ode to Ukraine. So I hope that you'll be able to use your imagination and picture a beautiful countryside, beautiful country with this winding river, as well as imagining folk dancers and folk singing. It was a marvelous experience. Ode to Ukraine.